The lawmaker who first uncovered the fraud more than 3 years ago. Intelligence Committee ranking member Member Nunes with reaction to this latest FBI controversy. He's the author of the book, Countdown to Socialism. Congressman, it's good to see you tonight. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you.
Your reaction to Kevin Clinesmith and this slap on the wrist.
It's, I would say, quite disturbing. Republicans and conservatives around the country that have watched this closely. This is probably the worst thing that could have happened for national security. The judge that made this ruling is the new judge that oversees the FISA court. For nearly 4 years, Republicans in the House and the Senate had alerted the court that there was a problem with the Carter Page FISA application. We called it FISA abuse. You covered it on your Sunday morning show for many years, Maria. So where we go from here, I think, is it's going to become part of the party platform that Republicans are not going to be for the FISA court. And that's an unfortunate thing to say, because they've backed Republicans and conservatives across the country into a corner to make that tough choice between liberty and security. And I'm sorry, at the end of the day, Republicans are going to pick liberty and freedom. And we watch what's happening, with these big tech companies coming in and obliterating companies from the map, while at the same time you see the lead justice of the FISA court, an Obama appointee, essentially apologize, acted like that Clinesmith was somehow a victim. So it's actually brought shame, not just on the FISA court, but this judge also. The whole thing it's very, very disheartening, to say the least.
You said, Congressman, that this is really too bad for national security. Connect the dots here for us. What are you referring to?
Well, look, the FISA programs have been in place now for, four decades or so. After 9/11, there were a couple of important programs that were put in. One of those expired last year. Look, my guess is that moving forward, you're going to see legislation that there were a few Republicans who were out there that were raising these concerns. I actually kind of rejected those concerns because I said, look, we just have a few bad apples here. But now when you see the lead judge of the FISA court essentially apologize and act like that Clinesmith is some kind of a victim, look, you just can't make, as Republicans, you just can't make excuses for this anymore. So how do we go to our constituents as members of Congress, members of the Senate, and say that, they did spy on the Republican Party. They did take a bunch of innocent Americans like Carter Page, who's going to be on next, ruined his life. And then when we got to the bottom of it, after years and years and a special counsel and the attacks, everybody involved in the media, that you covered so well, then at the end of the day, they give a slap on the wrist. I mean, tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if Clinesmith is over partying with the judges, as if this is some kind of joke. It's almost like they're in on it.
Well, Senator Ted Cruz joined me to talk about the FBI malfeasance, and he encapsulated really what Clinesmith did very well. Here's Senator Ted Cruz on Sunday Morning Futures back in December.
So Carter Page is an outside advisor to the Trump campaign. He also is periodically talking to Russians, including some sketchy Russians. And so the FBI wants to get a wiretap on him. So the FBI sends an email to the CIA. It says, hey, is this guy a source for you? The CIA emails back, and they say, yes, he's a source. The FBI Assistant General Counsel takes that email, and he alters it. He types in the words. So CIA said, yes, he's a source. The FBI lawyer types in, no, he is not a source.
Unbelievable.
180 degrees, exactly opposite. He then sends that email on to the Department of Justice that uses that as the basis for a sworn statement to the FISA court to get a wiretap.
This is the most obvious, straightforward criminality, and yet no jail time, not even a fine, Congressman. Yeah. Do you think they are using his guilty plea as a way to take others down? Is that what this is about?
Look, I don't think there's any excuse for it. I mean, it looks like total corruption all the way to the top. There's no excuse whatsoever. I mean, this was so blatant. It was so obvious. you changed the wording. You took somebody like Carter Page, who was a Naval Academy graduate. He had done work for the CIA. So when you talk about we as in the intelligence world, you like to have Americans, if they're working under the CIA as sources, if they're going to Moscow, that they're bringing information back and giving that back to the CIA. And by the way, Carter Page was very helpful in some of these prosecutions. So imagine being Carter Page to see this happen, where you have somebody who's clearly guilty. This wasn't just the House Intelligence Committee Republicans. This was also the Inspector General. It was the special counsel, now John Durham. Nothing's going to happen to this guy. People want to know why. Why is nothing happening to this guy? And there's not a good answer.
Is there anything that's going to happen to anybody? John Durham apparently still working on this. Are you expecting indictments anytime soon?
Well, I think that becomes the question. You have 95% of the District of Columbia voted for Biden. You have all the media essentially continuing to lie about this Russia hoax. You have all the Russia hoaxers have been promoted into the Biden administration, people who were doing multiple unmaskings, lying about it to the media, people that were peddling the secret P tapes, the P dossiers. And then lo and behold, you have the judge, the leading judge that's in charge of the FISA court that's based out of Washington, D.C., essentially give almost an attaboy, like, hey, make sure we're going to make an example of Clinesmith. If you do what the Democrat Party wants, we're going to reward you. You may get hit with a hurricane, I think the judge said, of bad media and bad press, but don't worry. We're going to be there to protect you. Any of you FBI agents out there watching, DOJ officials, as long as you're working for Obama, Biden, the left, big tech, it's okay. That's what the judge said today. And I don't see how there's a future for any Republican who's going to tolerate these FISA powers that have now been abused and now criminally abused, and now you let people walk and skate.
So are you saying you will vote against the renewal of these FISA programs when they come up? Is that next year?
I don't know of a Republican. Look, part of the problem here is the FISA part that was passed back in the late 70s, that's in permanent law. So now we're going to have to look at, okay, how do you take that law apart? Nobody was ever there. I mean, and that just happened today. If Clinesmith would have he should have received the maximum sentence, the maximum. Any idiot out there that's not partisan would know he should have received the maximum sentence. Instead, you're out now tonight. I'm being facetious, but you can go out to a bar and party. The restaurants are open in Washington, D.C. You can even go party with this judge if you want. It's ridiculous.
Congressman, it's good to have you tonight. Thanks very much. You've done a lot of work on this, and we appreciate it.